You, Summer P Drums, I'm here to talk about EQs, your best friend. You know what I'm saying? For everybody that know about EQs, then you already know how important they are, man. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, I don't care how long you've been an engineer, producer, or doing mixing and mastering, it's always something new you can learn. That's a fact. So take this free information, run with it. I don't want to hear nobody on here bitching all the time. Always got to get on here and try to correct grown men. But I'm gonna tell you little things about EQ before I show y'all. In the wonderful days of audio plugins and supercharged processors, it is tempting to ignore something as simple as the EQ, short for equalization. After all, it's not as sexy, doesn't capture attention, and does not enhance track as much as a lush reverb or too saturated distortion. Those of you who think that have missed a fundamental point about audio, so I am here to lobotomize you and install a more correct understanding. Have a seat in your chair while I find the hammer. But wait, this is just a class in audio. I don't need a lobotomized tweak. The tweak glares as a noob as he puts on his latex gloves, snapping them loudly. It will only hurt for a second. New information is always hard to accept the first time you hear it. Others in class squirm nervously as Tweak paces towards Noob, knowing that they may be next. Tweaks takes the long metal rod and places it squarely between Noob's widening eyes, draws back with the hammer, and then pause. Class, should I do it? No, Tweak, you might kill him. Sometimes shouts. The pros in back are making the thumbs down gesture and one jers. Go ahead, Tweak. If he's ignoring EQ, he ain't gonna make it anywhere. The pros nod in agreement. Hoping Tweak doesn't drag this out through lunch. Tweak drops the hammer, sends Noob to his seat, and resumes his tweakly demeanor. The point. My extreme reaction is exactly what a lot of noobs do in the attempt to make their tracks sound bigger. They engage in overkill. They lobotomize their sounds, add effect upon effect to their tracks, and in the process risk killing them. In the end, they are left trying to fit all these pumped up, bloated tracks to work together. And as if you might guess, too much bloat is not a good thing. And the funny thing about it, I used to do the same shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I used to do the same stuff, man. So I had the experience. Okay, to understand EQ is to understand the limits. It is in essence to understanding that allows the sound, the song, the sound bigger for making the elements. The track sounds smaller, more narrow, and dare I say it, in the world of fatness, thinner. This is because the audio bandwidth is itself limited. There is only so much space you have, and if you fill it up with frequencies that overlap and conflict. I pause right there. When they say fill it up with frequencies, I'm gonna show you exactly what they talking about. I'm gonna go to EQ. I'm gonna go to a 5-band EQ, right? So we use the EQ, any EQ. I don't care what you're using. Don't matter what, if you're using waves, if you're using the top EQs in the world that you so-called the top, they all got 3 bands, 4 bands, 5 bands, different bands. From this left side right here all the way to this right side right here is all the frequencies you got with all your music. So when you overall mix, you have the left side and the right side of frequencies that you're using. So that means that when you're mixing, you can only fill up all your sounds to fit inside these frequencies. The same thing as if you're recording on a beat. I mean, well, not recording on a beat, but if you're mixing the song, period. Like when you listen to a song on the radio or anything, every sound have to fit inside these frequencies. So, for example, if you have a bass kick and this is your low, this is your low. You got your low, you got your low mid, you got your mid, you got your high, and you got your highest one, right? So if you got a bass in this frequencies right here, right? A bass, and then you get another bass and it's playing the same time and it's in the same frequencies, what's going to happen is that it's going to sound muddy. Now, if you got a bass, a sub bass, and it's in these frequencies right here, and then you got a kick bass or something like that in this frequencies right here, it'll blend better. If y'all get what I'm saying. But I'm going to show y'all something in a minute. Let me read this to you. You would not be able to hear the music through the sound stated positively. If you carve out a distinct sonic space for your instruments, you will hear each more clearly. That is the basic point and essential understanding that goes into developing a mix. Always remember, it is not how things sound in isolation that matters. It's how well they sound in a mix. So that means that it doesn't matter how your sound by itself. What matters how it sound when it's together. Yeah, you want to solo a sound and play it, to hear it, see how much you took away from it, how much bass you took away from it. Sometimes it might sound like it's too much bass took away from the sound when you solo that sound. But when you play it all together with the music, it sounds just right. So understand that, y'all, what an EQ really means. All right, now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna find me a sample. I like to get straight to the point, man. Let me find a sample. I'm gonna get a song. All right, this is a whole song. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a trick. Anything that don't need bass, anything that's not, well, put it like this, anything that's not a bass in your music, you're supposed to roll the bass off. How you roll the bass off? You go to your low frequency and you put a high pass on it and you roll it off. So how much you think it sound good. So when I play this back, I roll the bass off. This is how it sound. Oh, let me change that right quick. Yeah, people, I got my lady inside the studio. She's an expert with the music and everything. She's telling me to call her phone. So give me a second, people. Please give me a second. Be patient. If you got a problem with that, fuck you. I just called it. But yeah, so what you do, you roll the bass off. Hey, as you notice, the more I go, the lighter it sound. Now, people, yeah, some EQs is different, but all EQs really do the same shit. It ain't what you use, it's really what you know. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm gonna play it back. I'm gonna roll the highs off. Now, any sound with a bass, based on what it is, what type of bass, but most bass, you always want to roll the highs off. You go to the low and you roll the highs off on the bass. This is how it sound. But what I'm gonna do, let me go find a bass. Let me go find a bass sample. Give me a second, y'all. Let me find a bass. I'm gonna just copy it down a little bit. I'm gonna mute this. I'm gonna just play this. Alright, let me put that on there. I'm gonna take the sample thing off right quick. I wanna loop this right quick so y'all can get a understanding right quick. So now I'll focus on the bass part. I'm gonna add an EQ to the bass. Now this bass sound pretty good, but sometimes when you roll that high off, it'll sound a little much better. But like I say, it ain't all about how a instrument sound by itself. It's all about how it sound when you're playing with the other music. Because sometimes some basses you want a little high on it because, I mean, based on what type of bass you're using. Because this is not this is kind of more like a funk. This is a pop funk like guitar bass. Because it's different from a sub bass. Sub bass is just straight low as hell. I mean, that's more of a type of bass where the frequencies can get so low where you can't really hear it. You can only feel it. That's that type of bass. And but let me play it back right quick. Now you see how I go to like the little mid high. It kind of bring out the acoustic sound of it. You see what I'm saying? Like now if I bring it down, if I cut it, this is called cutting. On the EQ, anytime they say cut, you bring it down low. So always remember that when you're using the EQ, it's better to cut than add. And what I mean by that, instead of me going like this and going up with it, it's better to, if you want this to sound high, it's better to go right here and cut the mid. And maybe just raise that up just a little bit. And then turn the volume up on it, the output, to give it back its life. But sometimes people, sometimes you want to take a little bit off the bass on the end of the bass because it'll clean up some frequencies, right? If you kind of cut it a little bit like this, play it back. It cleans those frequencies that you really can't hear, that cause little staticky sounds. This is from my experience, man. You know what I'm saying? Me doing this stuff for years, tweaking with them, playing with them and everything. And now this meter right here lets you know like what's pushing the most sound, the higher it get, I mean, but one thing about the EQ, man, like I tell people, it's no limitation. It's really no right and wrong way to EQ once you learn the basics of what an EQ mean and what it does. And EQ is made to clean up things. It's made to make stuff sound clear and cut away from something that sound harsh. Anything that don't sound good to your ear. And EQ is the most important plugin besides compressor. Is reverb, a little bit of delay sometimes, and deesser. It's all type of other plugins that you can use to give your sound, the special or different type of sound that you're looking for, something creative. But when it comes to mixing and mastering, they the most important tools that you use. But the thing is, what make top engineers different from the rookie engineers is that they have tricks. See, once you learn the basics, it's about learning tricks, learning simple little things, simple little tricks and everything. Like for example, like even when it comes to a sample, you can have a sample where, for example, like okay, like I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna copy this track. I'm gonna duplicate this. All right. But I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say you have a sample where you can't cut no sounds. You can't take no sounds out that sample. But you want to use the bass in the sample, and at the same time, you want to use the highs on the sample, but you want it to be on separate tracks. And maybe you want it to play a different time inside the song, right? Let me take this out. So what you can do, like say for example on this sample, you can roll the highs off. know what I'm saying? Then after that, maybe add a little reverb. So now since I took the bass off, wrote the bass off, all you hear is the highs. You tweak that up a little bit to your liking. Now I'm gonna go to the second track, I'll mute this, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna roll the highs off. This is a dope idea for people that sample. And sometimes you don't know when you sample, you chopping up samples, and you trying to make it sound a certain way, and you can't really cut no specific instrument out the sample. And what you can do now, you can roll the highs off, boost up the bass a little bit to your liking. Now I'm gonna play both back. Now what I can go do, I can lower the bass part. Now I can play it. And what you can do, now this part right here, then you can add your drums. Because you just removed the bass. Now you can go get your drum kit. The drum kit is gonna stand out more. You see what I'm saying? Well, let me go find a drum. That's just an E kick by itself. I'm gonna go find a drum kick container. It ain't looping right. But anyway, my point is that now you can go back over. Once you roll them highs or them lows off, once you roll the lows off on that sound with the bass in it, now you can add your drums and stuff to it. You know what I'm saying? That's a trick you can always do when it comes to sampling that people don't even realize you can do when you're making a beat. You could try with vocals too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to think of anything else I can run across you as far as the EQ. I mean, besides the high pass, the bell, the low shells. These little simple things you can learn one day, like what they do. Like for example, like see what I just did right here on the high pass, low shelf, like this right here, make it sound like you on a telephone. When you cut the high, you cut the lows in the high, and you bring it like especially like in the middle somewhere over here. You bring this like in the middle somewhere. You could put it anywhere you want to your liking, but kind of make it sound like a telephone. But this is Humble P Drums. Any questions that y'all gotta have, y'all have about EQ, feel free to hit me up. Tell me what you think. You know what I'm saying? But like I tell y'all, EQ is made to clean up your mix. And once you master it and you learn it, you use that first, then everything else will be easy. Once it sound clean and clear, that's not the only thing that make it sound good. You got to level. It's all about leveling and panning left and right and making things sound big and small. You got to understand that. Peace.